The first phrase is simple. I see what you're doing. 5 words that collapse their entire architecture. Because manipulation only works in shadows, it requires you to doubt yourself, to question your own perception, to believe their version over your instincts. When you name it directly without emotion, something breaks. They expected you to react, to get defensive, to spiral into confusion. Instead, you stood still and pointed at the mechanism. Like turning on lights in a room they need dark. They will try to recover, they will laugh it off, call you paranoid, say you are overreacting or being dramatic, but you can see it in their eyes. The brief flicker of panic, the recalculation happening behind their face. The second phrase carries even more weight. That's not going to work on me, said with the tone of someone stating a simple fact. Not a challenge, not a threat, just information. This phrase removes their leverage. Manipulators need you to believe you might be wrong, that maybe you are too sensitive, too suspicious, too difficult. They plant seeds of self-doubt, so you police yourself. When you declare their tactics ineffective, you become unreachable. You are no longer playing the game, you are standing outside it, watching. And manipulators hate observers, they need participants. Notice I did not say to yell this or deliver it with anger. The power is in the calm, the certainty, the complete absence of doubt. The third phrase is a question that is not really a question. What are you trying to accomplish right now? It forces them to explain their moves while making them, like asking a magician to reveal the trick mid-performance. Most people ask why someone did something, but manipulators are prepared for why questions. They have explanations ready, stories that paint them as victims or heroes, reasons that seem logical enough to create doubt, but asking what they are trying to accomplish right now cuts deeper. It pulls focus to their intention, their goal, the outcome they are engineering. And that is much harder to dress up in acceptable language. They might stumble, change the subject, get offended that you would even suggest they have an agenda. That reaction alone tells you everything. The fourth phrase is one word that carries immense power. No, not explained, not justified, not softened with reasons, just no. Manipulators build elaborate systems around your guilt. They train you to believe that no requires a dissertation, that you owe them an explanation for your boundaries, that refusing them is cruel or selfish or unreasonable, so when you say no and then stop talking, their system breaks. They have nowhere to insert their arguments, no gap to slip their guilt through, no opening for negotiation. They will push, ask why, tell you that you are being unfair, create scenarios where your no seems monstrous, but if you hold the silence after your no, they lose. The fifth phrase addresses their favorite weapon. You're trying to make me feel guilty, and it's not working. This is naming the spell while it is being cast. It robs it of all magic. Guilt is the manipulator's most reliable tool. It is invisible, socially acceptable. Hard to defend against without seeming selfish. They can make you feel like a terrible person for having boundaries, for saying no, for protecting yourself. When you identify the guilt tactic out loud, you break its power. You show them you see the strings. You refuse to dance to music only they can hear. The sixth phrase is dangerous for them. I don't owe you an explanation. Because manipulators need your reasons. Your reasons are the raw material they shape into weapons. Every explanation you give becomes ammunition. Think about how this works. You explain why you cannot do something. They find the weak point in your explanation. They show you how your reason is not valid, how you could actually do it if you really wanted to, how other people manage it just fine. But when you refuse to explain, they have nothing to work with. They cannot argue against silence. They cannot find flaws in boundaries you do not justify. The seventh phrase is simple but devastating. I'm not discussing this. Not I do not want to. Not I would rather not. Just I am not. Present tense. Decided. Done. Manipulators need the discussion. The back and forth is where they operate. Every exchange is a chance to wear you down, to find an opening, to shift your position inch by inch. When you remove the discussion itself, you remove their arena. They will try to restart it, come at it from different angles, make it seem urgent or important or necessary, but you have already left the building. The eighth phrase is a boundary most people fear to set. Your feelings about my decision are not my responsibility. This one cuts the deepest because it severs their main control line. Manipulators make you responsible for their emotional state. If you upset them, you are cruel. If they are hurt, you are the villain. If they suffer consequences from your boundaries, you are heartless. They teach you that managing their feelings is your job, that their comfort matters more than your safety, that you should set yourself on fire to keep them warm. This phrase hands their emotions back to them. It says you can feel however you feel. You can be angry or sad or disappointed, but I am not adjusting my reality to manage your reactions. The final phrase is the one they fear most. But I trust myself more than I trust your version of reality, because this is the ultimate exit from their maze. Manipulators build alternate realities. They tell you what happened differently than you remember. They explain what you felt when you felt something else. They describe your motives in ways that sound true, but feel wrong. And slowly, if you let them, they replace your reality with theirs. You start to doubt your own memory, your own feelings, your own perception. You begin to think maybe they are right, maybe you did misunderstand, maybe you are the problem. When you state clearly that you trust your own reality more than theirs, the game ends. They can still talk, still argue, still try to convince you, but you have planted your flag in your own ground. You have chosen your own eyes over their story, and that is the one thing manipulation cannot survive. These phrases work because they share something essential. They refuse to argue on the manipulator's terms. They do not defend. They do not explain. They do not negotiate reality. They simply state what is true and stop talking. The silence after each phrase is crucial. That is where manipulators usually win, in the gap where you feel uncomfortable, where the tension builds and you want to fill it with words. But if you can hold that silence, you hold your power. Let them fill it instead. Let them scramble. Let them show you who they are when their tactics fail. You will see them differently after that, not as the powerful force they pretended to be, but as someone whose only power was your willingness to doubt yourself. And once you stop doubting, they become small, transparent, almost pathetic in their desperation to regain control. This is not about being cruel or cold or winning some battle. It's about refusing to be a character in someone else's story, about trusting the quiet voice inside you that always knew something was wrong. The voice they tried so hard to silence. The manipulator's greatest fear is not your anger. It is your clarity. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, that is when you become free. Remember this, your silence is not weakness. It is the sound of someone who finally stopped playing a game they never agreed to. Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to create 2 videos every day. I am counting on your support. See you in the next video.